I'd be curious what you guys, that tradition, what steps have you guys taken to support your staff from working from home, but keeping the confidentiality, the sensitivity of the data and the transactions in place? And Matt, I'll start with you on that.
Well, I mean, I think some of our staff has figured out that it's not really viable to work from home. I mean, they found it, some inconveniencing, some have been making it work, but mainly, I mean, most of our staff is in the office right now. Confidentiality, we have basically you log into your desktop through, your home computer with a virtual private network. So everything is pretty safe. The data is secure. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty much having all of our staff is at the office right now working.
Great. Sal, how about you guys? How's this transition been for you guys from a data and confidentiality standpoint with your staff working remote?
Well, we're all on a virtual private network, Doug. So we're still on the corporate network, even at home, through a VPN, keeping everything safe. Obviously the sensitivity of the data and information that we touch through the settlement service and closing process is paramount. All of us are, ensuring that information security protocols are being maintained as we transition. And, going back to the biggest shift, in all of us going into the shelter in place work from home mode in a short period of time with the steep learning curve, as Kevin pointed out, I will say that what's interesting is we're all going through this together at the same time in many regards. So a lot of our customers and clients have already been working from home, or they themselves are now transitioning to working from home as well, right? So that's another thing that we're adjusting to, is some of our service providers, some of our vendors and our customers having to transition at the same time that we're transitioning as well. So that was a big piece, we didn't mention earlier in terms of how we're transitioning, and that caused some of the services that we rely on to, have a little bit of a stutter step between now and the time that they've normalized. But going back to this question in terms of information security, it is paramount, very important. That's why everything that we're touching while we're working from home is going through our VPN.
Great. I'm just curious, Maria, I'll ask you the same question, but I'd also like to know, just from all of you, with wire fraud being rampant in the industry, do you see any cause of concern for maybe more widespread wire fraud in the future, given people working remotely, maybe not taking the necessary precautions to protect the data as they should? And Maria, I'll ask you that question.
We've already started seeing it. The fraudsters are out in big force. And because of that, we're trying to tell all of our realtor clients and mortgage broker clients to tell their clients, do not fall for these crazy schemes that we're seeing. We just had one the other day, and it was again to a buyer, and don't know how they received their information, but we didn't even know it was under contract. And again, they were told to send their money because of the COVID crisis. There might be delays, and so they need to send their money now. And unfortunately, they fell for it, but we got the FBI involved, and we were able to get their money back for them. But a lot of them it's gone. So it's frightening, and you need to tell your clients, do not fall for any of that.
So we now have Ms. Shirley Scaglione on. Welcome, Shirley.
I was on, I just couldn't be seen.
So I'll throw this out to Shirley and KB. Given that you guys have transitioned over to remote, the concern for wire fraud, I traditionally get a lot of emails from, my sales reps, warning on wire fraud and so on. I have not seen anything new come out since COVID from any of the title companies about increased wire fraud. Is that something that you guys are planning on doing to better educate the agents and warn them as to some of the new scams that are coming on?
I think a lot of along the line of what Marie said is that we've already had in place our safe start packaging, opening packaging that we've been doing with buyers, borrowers, and sellers for so long now. That became our new norm long before this. So it actually helped circumvent any issues that could be coming up, because we'd already educated everybody so heavily, as has everybody else on this call. And that they absolutely do not accept anything unless it is that initial hello letter with the wire information on it, and to make the phone call. Don't take any emails, don't accept any emails, don't, they're too easily intercepted. The only one that we just received in the last couple of days was literally the COVID one that said, the businesses are closed. I think everybody has seen this one. And so the education's kind of been out there for everybody. That the offices are closed, so you need to wire immediately to this new information. That's included already in our Start Safe packages that go out, that says watch for this. Again, a reason why you don't contact anybody but directly with your title company.
Great, thank you. And then Jim, just to touch on you regarding this, you had mentioned streamlining the process, right? It's what does this with people working remotely, even when we come out of the shelter in place and things sort of get back to the norm, what do you see your company benefiting or learning from this, of maybe not having to have so many people in the office, new procedures to work remotely? What do you see coming down from a Old Republic standpoint?
Well, I've always questioned brick and mortar in Silicon Valley, especially, Doug, just because of the cost of it. I think certainly we could see a little bit of a shift in how much brick and mortar, when it comes time to renew leases and things like that. I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's certainly something in the back of my mind. Can we possibly have half the staff work at home, instead of having a 4,000 square foot office cut in half and have half the staff work at home? And are we learning to work more efficiently? Do we need to be sitting right next to each other, whether there's a coronavirus or not? Have 7, 8, 9, 10 people in an office. Just some of those things I think we have to consider. And just our own efficiencies. I think our people are realizing, as terrible as this pandemic, that there is going to be a little bit of a silver lining, that we all realize we can work a little bit better like we never thought we could before.
Yeah, likewise in the real estate and lending business as well. I'd like to find out, the specific challenges you guys are coming upon, with this shift. Obviously, having to transition your staff to work remotely, but what challenges are you seeing in the market from a transactional standpoint, with refinances, purchases, so on? So Sal, why don't you let us know what challenges First American is seeing in the market outside of the basic shift and moving staff around? What are you seeing transactionally as your challenges?
Sure, Doug. I'll definitely touch base on that. But before I do, I just want to go back real quickly to the security aspect of this and the wire fraud issue. I think what Shirley mentioned on the call earlier is really, really important. Prior to COVID, our secure portal product, which allows buyers, sellers, and borrowers to communicate with the EO securely through an online portal, it was about 70% usage, right? And to Shirley's point, before that, it was high usage, but now it's a super high usage. We're seeing about 90% of our buyers, sellers, and borrowers interact with us through our secure portal, and most of them are doing it through their phone, much like lenders are moving to a portal as well for their communication for security. So I would definitely say that's something that we've put out there to the real estate community, educating them to those capabilities, but primarily we're marketing those to the consumer. So I would say if anybody's interested in taking a look at those, just reach out to your local rep and we'd be more than happy to give you a demo so that you see what buyers, sellers, and borrowers look at in order to keep their transactions safe and stay safe in this face of wire fraud. But going back to your question in regards to the challenges that we're seeing, what's interesting is, they're not our transactions, right? We facilitate the closing and settlement service. That's our role. Transactions are structured obviously by the agents and the lenders that are involved. So the issues that you're facing are the same issues that we're facing, right? That delay a transaction. So obviously the big one is going to be notarization. There's some challenges around that. And I know that we might spend some time diving into that a little bit more. But delays there in some cases, especially if it's out of area, because we're not able to leverage the relationships that we have with our local notaries, as well as we do here when it's out. And the other piece is going to be the things that people are coming across with appraisals or inspections or job verifications, and people, unfortunately, losing their jobs because of how COVID has affected the economy, et cetera. So I would say those are the big issues that we're seeing right now transactionally, which unfortunately I'm afraid the real estate community is already well aware of.
Yeah. Dominic, how about you guys? What are you guys seeing as your challenges in this market outside of staff working?
Challenge is just volume of orders, and keeping the numbers coming in, I think is the toughest part for all involved. And just to touch on the security thing as well, it's some of that issue comes up with agents using their personal emails for communication. I just kind of wanted to put that out there to please use your company emails. That helps security significantly. But for us, it's just the issue is where are the orders? So we're just strictly it's a volume gig in what we do. So that dramatically affects our lives. So
that being said, with real estate, back at the end of March, residential real estate got deemed to be an essential service. With that declaration, have you guys seen any type of a bump with any new orders or anything from real estate agents? Have you seen any change on your end?
not so much.
Yeah, I'll talk to that, Doug. Obviously you guys have seen it on MLS. You're looking at a 50% drop in homes going on. And that obviously affects us as well. When they don't go on MLS, chances of them opening escrow with buyers to come is definitely not as frequent as we would like. But helping folks get that stuff and that information is where, our sales staff is trying to help agents get that information from their homes. We are definitely seeing our prelims, numbers diminish with the lack of inventory coming out. I think there is a shadow inventory out there, and once this pandemic is over and we get to go back to what we know best, I think we'll see pretty good rise. And I think, I was on a couple of calls with you this week, and a lot of people are talking probably a 40% increase once this thing is over. And obviously as title guys, we're really hoping that's the case. We'd love to get back into our offices and have our folks be safe and secure and see the numbers that, make our operations run and be profitable.
Right. And Matt, how about you? What are you guys at Stewart seeing as your challenges in the market?
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, shortage of new business. I mean, normally we're operating at about 75% of our revenue comes from resale, and right now it's pretty much flipped around. Refi is representing 77% of our current income. I mean, also we're seeing some, a little unreal expectations and timelines from lenders and agents. I mean, we're experiencing a shortage of mobile notaries out there. County recorders are closing a little bit earlier than normal. So we're just trying to work around that for right now, really. Hopefully business does come back really soon, though.
Yeah. Well, and Jim, everyone's been talking about, we've been talking about the challenges and delays. Do you see the refinance boom causing delays on your end with getting prelims out, getting, as Matt said, getting mobile notaries out there? Is the refinance boom having any impact on the sales transactions? And is there any priority? I know from the lending side, typically they'll put a purchase as a priority over a refi. Is that similar in the escrow side, escrow and title side?
No, Doug, I don't think so. I don't think any professional escrow title person intentionally puts one transaction ahead of another. Early on, just a rush of refinances for all the companies. And, it seems to happen in situations like this because the first thing the feds do is drop the rates, and happened at 9/11. We were walking around feeling guilty because the world was almost coming to an end and we were busy with refinance business. And the same thing happened with this pandemic. But now we're starting to see even the loans slow down, the refinances slow down. That mad rush of refis is kind of subsided a little bit. So our company doesn't do a lot of outsourcing of prelims. We don't do hardly any overseas. Some companies probably do. So we weren't really affected that way. Our prelims come out of Roseville or San Jose. I would imagine if they came out of the India or the Philippines or places like that, it could have been a little bit of a disarray. But so that really wasn't a big issue. I agree with everybody else that right now we just want to see some more orders. And I do think there's pent up buyers. I think there's pent up sellers. I agree with Kevin. I think it's going to be a wild and crazy fourth quarter, not only in our business, but in society. Everybody, I hope that's the timing by the end of the year, but I think society is going to get a little crazy in a good way. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm, on the real estate side, I'm seeing a lot of stuff coming through off market, top agent network, even through our office. So I think that there is a lot of shadow inventory out there that once this shelter in place is lifted, we'll see a lot more properties coming on the market. And we're still seeing multiple offers on a lot of the properties, that are vacant and being shown right now. We just missed out on one today that they had three offers on it. Just came on the market this week, 3 offers on it, and all of them over asking. So I think that once the shelter in place is lifted, we'll definitely see a boom in new orders for you guys. We talked a little bit about notary possibly being a delay, and just curious, how you guys are handling sign-offs, getting notaries out there. And then in addition to that, I just want to touch on the movement towards possibly e-notary services, that the possibility of that coming to California and locally, and any concerns that you guys have from a title and escrow title standpoint of taking electronic notary. So Marie, do you want to let us know how notaries and sign-offs are being handled?
First of all, it's not as quick. I believe Matt mentioned it, or Sal, about the mobile notaries, finding them, because we do have a shortage. We can find one, we just can't always say it's going to be a specific time. You have to give us a time limit there that we can go into and get it done, but we can schedule one. We like the fact that we're hearing, of course, they're wearing the gloves, the mask, being safe. I heard one yesterday that they signed off in their front yard. When the notary arrived there, they had their little card table set out in their yard, and they were ready with their own little pins and everything. So that was good. So we're trying to stay safe. Of course, on the RON, the remote online notarization, we're trying to get that passed in California. It hasn't gone through. When I say we're trying to get it passed, the powers that be are trying. There's a bill right now with the legislature for all of the United States to be approved, but then there's going to be certain roadblocks that we're going to hit to try to get that through. But I think we can if it is passed. So that's something to look forward to if that happens.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, so you had mentioned delays regarding notary. What's your experience with sign-offs in notary, and what's your opinion of the e-notary?
Yeah, I mean, sign-offs right now, we're only allowing the actual signer into the office for the time being. I mean, we have masks, gloves, Clorox bleach wipes. We're cleaning the sign-off rooms every single time somebody comes in or leaves. So that's good if they're coming into the office. For mobile notaries, Marie's right. We're still having to, get a window. It's not, I want to sign off at 8:42 a.m. We have to pretty much get somebody there within a few hours or let them know when it's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of a learning curve, but I mean, we're still able to close deals and still able to get people signed off and trying to do it safely as possible. So right now, regarding Ron, remote online notarization, CLTA sent Governor Newsom basically a letter to do an order explicitly providing or affirming California law recognizing, so California, they're basically trying to have California recognize the validity of documents legally, remotely notarized from outside the state. So there's some states out there that already have remote online notarization. Basically, you're going to have a notary from Texas signing off a buyer, borrower, or seller here in California and have those documents be legally acknowledged within the county recorders itself. So that's what's trying to pass. Stewart has this already built into their platform, and we're using it in 27 out of 50 states. We're just waiting for California to get on board, and we can make it happen that day.
Okay. And so you guys are doing sign-offs in your offices, your physical offices?
We are, yes.
And KB, how about you guys? Are you guys doing sign-offs in your local offices, or are you doing everything remotely?
We are pretty much doing everything remotely. I mean, there are case by case depending on the situation and the staff that's in the office. Kind of going back a little. Number one could be a whole conversation all by itself. That could be a whole nother video conversation all by itself. But the creativity and flexibility being the biggest words right now in our industry. We are having certain escrow officers, depending on the size of the branch, they have no problem with the gloves and the mask and the whole bit. I literally jumped on late to this call because I was standing out my back door doing a notary for a buyer on the hood of his car. He had just come off of COVID-19 quarantine. This was literally day 15. And I happened to have the N95 and gloves and supplied him with an envelope holding the same thing. So we were able to accomplish that. But honestly, creativity. The thing that we're faced with right now is with that whole Teams thing and how we're navigating the workflow. We have our escrow officers and some of our juniors at home doing the draws and the audits, but they print everything due to that whole privacy period, that thing that you were talking about. That is a huge component. People do not want to know that their documents have been taken out. So all of that printing, luckily, all of us on this call are paperless, so to speak. So we're able to print those docs, and we have special teams in the offices, our funding package special teams, and then our print package and organized mobile signing team. We have been fortunate, as a couple mentioned, that front yard sign-offs, backyard sign-offs. Yes, some of our offices sign-offs, again, depending on the size. Just being as creative as we can to get the job done. But so far, we haven't run into any major issues. COVID is creating its own delays, whether it's through very unfortunate layoffs, whether it's through houses not being shown, so the real estate slowed down a bit on its own, of course, as well. Really, all of that's kind of the dictating the needs case by case. As to Ron itself, again, like everybody else said, it's state driven. It's then county driven. We actually have, if a local county recorder accepts it, we actually have the approval, an emergency order to approve that. Again, Newsom working on it as well, but our county recorder itself, we're trying to get a definitive, yes, they will accept it. Supposedly they may accept it on a cash transaction. I don't know if anybody else can speak to this, but we haven't had anybody willing to pull the trigger on it. So, you know, I'd like to try and get a local seller to do a notary cam sign off or a notarized sign off to vetted companies, and see if we can't say, let's do it this way, put it through, but have the signed grant deed just in the event that somebody, that the county does say no. Our local county recorder's office has said, if it goes through e-notarize or if it goes through electronic recording, there is a possibility with state, county, your county recorder, and then meeting underwriting requirements for your own company, it could possibly be okay. But as everybody else has said, it is the county that is dictating that. Alameda County, absolutely not. They will only do paper. So something like that, that's a given right there. But we do e-recording in Santa Clara County, so we're closer. Let's put it that way.
Great. And I know we wanted to save some time for Q&A. I'm going to come to the last question, and I just wanted to find out from you, and I'll start with you, Sal, on this, is how are your sales reps staying in touch with their lender and agent clients, given the shelter in place, not being able to you know, pop into their office all the time and say hi to them? What are your sales reps doing to support their clients in the real estate and lending business during this shelter in place?
I would say that, you know, we've pivoted a little bit to obviously, or a lot of it, I should say, obviously to using our technology tools and resources to be able to do that. But the foundation stays the same, right? I mean, we still basically support our real estate partners and our lending partners in three basic ways. And, you know, the first obviously is through seamless title and escrow. So we know that as the settlement service closing provider for you, the best thing that we can do for everybody involved in the transaction is close it seamlessly, because we really recognize that we're an extension of your business. And by doing that, we can help support your repeat and referral business. So that's paramount. So the reps are still involved in being the liaison between the reps, the realtors and the lenders, and any issues and troubleshooting that they may be having to ensure that we have that seamless experience for the buyers, sellers, and borrowers. And we're doing that obviously through text, through email, through phone conversations, and just reaching out and touching people electronically. The second is obviously through educational and training seminars. So as you mentioned earlier, you know, the informational campaigns to our realtor clients, still doing that through emails. You know, now is a perfect example, and thank you to SCORE for providing the platform to allow us to do educational and training to the customers out there. But, you know, later this afternoon, we have several trainings scheduled, and throughout the day, we have training scheduled. We're still doing you know, how to read a preliminary title report for new agent training with Compass this afternoon, for example, and we're doing it for the first time via Zoom after having done it 15 years and in person, right? So there's still those opportunities to support your business through educational and training seminars. And finally, through marketing and technical support. So, you know, people right now are focused on a lot of different things, primarily their health and the anxiety around that for themselves and their family, obviously. But some people are still looking at their marketing. So we're reviewing people's farms with them. You know, obviously not a lot of walking farms right now, but there's still some direct mail. And then they're still looking at that direct mail traditional farming that people have done and transitioning that to how do I turn this into social media advertising, those types of things, right? So just kind of reviewing people's marketing plans as we always have, taking a look at the depth of tools and resources that we have around that, and helping support agents in whatever way they feel they need to be supported. So we're still doing all of those three things, Doug, just doing it through these types of platforms.
Great, thank you. And Jim, how about you? How's Old Republic? How are your reps at Old Republic supporting their clients in this time?
You know, it's strange because they might actually be doing a better job than normal just because they feel obligated. They feel, with a lot of them at home, they're a little more conscious about, their jobs and how Ramsey and I feel about how they're performing their jobs. When they're out and about in a normal environment, we just assume they're all doing their jobs, and they are 99.9% of the time. But now, because there's all this uncertainty, we're probably actually communicating with them more to find out how they're staying in touch with their clients. Most of them are email, as it's already been mentioned, a lot of phone calls, a lot of the marketing pieces, we send out to keep in touch, to keep them informed, not only about COVID-19, but just about the real estate industry in general and the lending industry. I hope none of them get comfortable because this is not going to be the way of life, working at home the rest of their life. But I have to say, much like the escrow functions, we're finding some interesting things out through all this about how to work. And as long as you're communicating, you're effective. I personally don't care if you're using a carrier pigeon. If you're communicating with people, it usually leads to success. And if you're not, it usually leads to failure. So.
Great, thank you. Matt, how about you? How about Stewart? What are you guys doing with your reps to stay in touch with your clients and support them?
I'm pretty much Zoom media, other virtual meeting platforms, hosting coffee dates or teaching farming classes, individual target farms for prospective clients, that type of thing. I mean, that's really, all you can do at this point. We're not really having sales reps or business development officers, in the offices so much right now, but do try to do their best to keep in touch with their clients. I also wanted to touch on the coronavirus addendum that CAR came out with. So from an escrow standpoint, that might be able to be used to, cancel a purchase contract or extend a purchase contract, but it doesn't actually cancel the escrow itself. So in order to release funds, we need either A, the CAR cancellation signed by both parties, or B, our escrow cancellation to be signed by all parties. So I just wanted to mention that as well, in addition to everything else. So thank you.
Dominic and Marie, as Matt said, are you seeing many transactions fall through on your end due to coronavirus implications?
Several because of the verifications. Once they find out they have been laid off or furloughed. We also are seeing some of the individual investors that are getting a little scared and they're backing off.
Yeah. And how about supporting your clients, your agent and lender clients? Are you offering any, like Sal had mentioned, they're doing a Zoom walkthrough with Compass on reading a prelim. Are you guys offering any type of those services out to your clients?
Yes. Excuse me, doing a lot of classes, trainings. I mean, the great part for KB and I, we work for the largest title company in the nation here. So we have the most resources and technology to support all of our clientele. And, we're actually getting more attention now of how these resources can be implemented into businesses, fixing some holes in the ship, if you will. And, we're still plugging away on the Zoom calls, text messages, old school phone calls, texting, all of the above, social media, of course. So.
Great. And Shirley and KB, to you, what do you,
I think what's happened is the fact that we're all at home, and even the agents themselves and us as well, we have to raise our game. And with the time that we have, raising your game means learning something you didn't know and applying that. So yeah, webinars, we've got an amazing app, Chicago Agent One, that we've had online and people signing up for it, and keep talking about how they can raise their game. This whole new experience is brand new to all of us. So if we have to be able to have this time, have the contact with the agent, obviously have some empathy with them because we're all going through it, but have an understanding that all of us need to raise our game. And that's kind of our communication line across our admin is let's raise our game and let's get smarter at things that we probably didn't know much about. And that's kind of what we're talking with our team. And we got a great team. I mean, a lot of savvy people on our team that are learning new things every day.
Yeah, I'm sure once we come out of this, we'll all be better for it. We have a couple questions here. The first one is Frank wants to get you a Chiefs hat, KB.
Not going to happen. Give it to Jimmy.
So I had a couple questions here. One, what's your, you guys experiencing any delays with getting out the preliminary title reports? I'll tell you from my standpoint, from our business, it's really been business as usual for us from a title and escrow standpoint. We've been getting our prelims on time, HOA docs, sign-offs have not been an issue. I mean, we have seen no delays in our personal business, but just curious on your end, what are you guys seeing? If anyone wants to touch on prelim delays.
Doug,
Doug, I'll touch. Oh, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we talked about earlier was the transition of working in an office environment to working from home. And we spent a lot of time discussing how that really affects on the escrow side of things. And we didn't touch base on how that affected all of the support services around title and escrow, including our title departments. So, they had to move working from home and remotely as well. And that's certainly challenging when a lot of the tools and just the assets themselves that they need to produce pre's, are located in their offices. So, we did experience a short period of time where there were delays in prelims, but we've certainly now normalized. In a pre-COVID market, our refinance pre's are delivered within 24 hours, 95% of the time. That's our service level agreement and traditional turnaround times. And that went, skyrocketed, not only because of the transition, but because of the orders. But we've now normalized back to that number. And our resale number kind of went up a little bit with turn time, but it kind of stayed still pre-COVID. And right now you're seeing kind of a normalization on the turn time. So I think the comment that you made, Doug, in regards to, hey, it seems like it was pretty much business as usual when it comes to title and escrow is a testament to all of the people that have been working really hard behind the scenes to ensure that we maintained, our service levels across the board. And you asked earlier, hey, is there a preference between, refi and resale? And everybody runs their title production a little bit different, but we run two separate title plants, right, or title departments for producing that evidence, one for refi and one for resale. And as there's movement in the business volumes, we're able to move resources from one to the other so that we can keep our commitment of getting pre's out as quickly as possible and obviously as correct as possible.
Right. Anyone else want to comment on that?
Doug, may I please?
Sure, Marie.
On the preferential treatment for sales versus refis or whatever, we don't really, but I will say my escrow people know that if they get a contract, and particularly if it's a cash deal and we got a fast close, it's going to get preferential treatment because why not? Let's get it done. Let's get it closed.
Great. I had a question on here. Someone had asked about that company out there called Title Lock. You hear their ads for a certain amount of money. They'll monitor your title and then notify you if there's any inquiries or anything in your title. Obviously, that's why we have title insurance, right? Mm-hmm. But question is, do the title companies offer anything like that? Which, of course, would be title insurance. But I guess my question on that is, is there any type of service out there provided by the title companies outside of title insurance where they do monitoring that someone's subscribed to make sure that no one's trying to take their house from them? Is there any type of service out there, a monitoring service that you guys are aware of outside of having to pay a fee to subscribe to a company to do that?
I think you said it correctly when you said title insurance is what takes care of that. But I will say that, and I'm sure I speak for everybody, that there are certain companies out there that if there's ever any kind of data breach, and I'm talking about a funding package being Federal Express back to the lender and the lender doesn't receive it, or, you know, God forbid, all of our notaries are approved and corporately approved. But if something ever happens where there's a breach of information that way, there are a couple of different LifeLock, Experian, a couple of different services that I think everybody probably has an affiliation with or a relationship with, that, you know, we immediately are obligated and required to provide that potential service to somebody that if there's been any kind of breach.
Right. There's one other question on here, and I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not going to ask any of you to answer this. What is your number one resource or tool that can help agents get more listings and build their pipeline from home? And what I'm going to do is just ask anyone on this call who wants to know that question, reach out to your sales rep. That's what they're out there for. They're there to support you and help you in your business. So please, you know, reach out to your sales rep and see what they can do to help you, you know, with your business. And I want to thank everyone here on the call for taking your time and sharing that with SCORE, and also the other title companies that we weren't able to get on here. We appreciate your business as well and your support. Is there any last word that you would like to give? And I'll start with Ann, or I'm sorry, with Marie.
AKA Ann. Thank you for having us. I hope it was informative. We're here for you.
Great. Matt?
Same. Just basically stay safe out there. We look forward to your business, and we look forward to working through this together with everybody.
Right. Dominic?
Just want to thank the audience. You're our lifeline to keeping the doors open. We appreciate your support, and please stay safe throughout this situation we're currently in. So thank you.
Sal?
Yeah, I would say stay safe, stay healthy, and reach out to us with any need you have. And that was a really good time to just touch base. Let us know what you're up against. And obviously our role is to help support you as much as possible. So reach out. We'd be more than happy to help you any way we can.
Great. KB, Shirley?
Yeah, I just want to say, obviously, thank you. Thank you to you, Doug, for moderating, and to SCORE. And I know SCORE is going through a real rough time right now, and someone close to us in this family passed last week. And I would love everybody to say a prayer for Tracy Lee. I know she's a special person and has been for a long time. And SCORE, you know, our hearts are with you guys.
Thank you, KB. And Jim, why don't you close us out here?
Well, I just wanted to thank all of the real estate professionals, including lenders. I've been so pleasantly surprised from the onset of this environment we're in, how well they've treated us and how understanding they've been. And I was waiting for my phone to ring off the hook, just putting out fires and trying to explain to them things. And there has been virtually none of that. So, you know, the saying, we're in this all together. It's really evident in our industry, and I think we should all be proud of each other. And I'm certainly thankful for it myself.
Yeah. Thank you all very much.